All right, we all know that action is quicker than what?
Reaction.
Obviously, right? So what we want to do is incorporate a little bit of dynamic movement into our shooting. We know that you guys know how to take a side step to the left, right, forward, or rear and shoot. But we want to take it to the next level. We want to start moving a little bit more dynamically because that's what you're going to actually do under stress. So we want to break away again from that training, that institutional inertia that we're used to. I know I've been taught to just sidestep like robotics all my life. When I notice myself getting in a fight, it's more like dynamic. It's a flinch reaction, right? It's that body alarm response, that path of information telling you to do something. Whether it's put your hands up or get off line of attack, you know, and it's normally the typical reaction you're going to have.
It's an aggressive movement. We try to move, get off line of attack. So now if I have to do that speed reload and I have to move at the same time, I'm doing it based on reality. Does that make sense? So there is a proper way to do it, and that's how we're trying to employ it here and try to keep it as real world as possible.
That goes for malfunctions or something. If you are engaging, you all of a sudden have a malfunction, I'm moving some dynamic offline and getting to a place of cover, and this is going to come into play right here. So it doesn't just go for, hey, somebody's got a gun, I'm going to draw. It's also when things go wrong, it'll help you get out of dodge because you've got that flinch reaction. You've got that dynamic movement down. You've been here before. So we're going to go ahead and cover that. Ready?
Yep. Generally, one of the other teaching subjects to this is my priority is to get out of the way and then get my gun up. A lot of people are like, well, how far do you move? Generally, if I can clear that object, as I start to clear that object, I'm going to punch out at the same time. What you'll notice with us is we're going to take a few steps. As we get to a certain point and our hand can get to our gun, that's generally the point for us to punch out. You'll see later today where this drill is going to progress and be slightly different, and you'll get a better understanding of where we'll take it from there.
Left! Right! Front!
Check.
Okay.
Ready.
Check. Ready.
Couple points to bring up. How were our legs positioned some of those times? Was it in a traditional, look at his leg there. Was it in the normal traditional setup as if I'm on the flat range? No, it wasn't. Okay, he's having to break himself. If he steps to the left, watch what happens sometimes, how he catches himself. So now his feet are dramatically apart. Why? Because he's trying to employ that reserve shoot, get his air brakes on and stop that motion. What did I tell you on day one was more important? Lower body or upper body? Upper body. You guys ready to run it?
I got a quick question.
Yes, yes, Dad.
If you can't go left or right, and you know you could go forward or back, like on a ship in narrow passageways, right, or in a house or in a hallway or something like that, could you go to a kneeling position? Would that also be a dynamic?
It's situational dependent, Dad. It depends what's going to happen. If there's a desk in front of me, okay, and I want to get to it because it may be a better place to work from, then I might move forward and do that. But for right now, we're just going to work repetition of dynamic movement. That's where you're starting to get into tactics.
Okay.
And this is what we're working on right now is just the weapons manipulation, the body manipulation, the movement, the dynamics of making your body and your gun work in unison.
And like Travis is talking about, and that's why we say, it's like, are you pressing a fight? Are you moving to a position of advantage because there's a doorway there, so you're going to take cover? Are you moving to the rear because there's a doorway behind you? All those are obviously factors. So that's why specifically what we're looking at right now, because you could just drop to a knee and engage. We know that. That's why we call it dynamic kneeling. That's why he taught it yesterday. So you might find yourself doing that. For this portion, it's just weapons manipulation, getting your body moving and used to it. Then the great thing is you guys, whether it's home defense, whether it's on a ship, whether it's SWAT or military, you can apply your SOPs to it and decide, hell, I'm going to move and go to a position of cover, like he said, a doorway, or move to another position, or just kneel.
Very good.
Great question. All right, guys,
Let's
gear up, line up. All right, guys, first direction we're going to move is left, Then I'll call it for the right, then I'll call forward, then I'll call rear. As soon as I call the direction, move and draw your gun. Give us 2 shots, 2 shots. Shooters, stand by. Left! Right!
Get your hits once the gun comes out. Once the gun comes out, same old, all right? Fundamentals, get your hits.
Stand by. Forward!
Get your grips, make sure they're good. Reset your feet when you're searching and assessing. Don't be in a hurry to holster.
Same drill again. Stand by. Left! Nice job, Scott.
Garth, you see what he's talking about with that, trying to get that gun out?
Yeah.
With you, isn't it?
It is.
Holster up when you're done.
Think about keeping the hands in. You're coming up your dynamic movement anyways, and try that half moon thing I was telling you about. Concentrate, boom, slamming into it. And that's gonna help get it up.
Okay.
Because I think you're fighting with that button a little too much.
A little bit, yeah.
So just concentrate here. You know you're gonna go right for this one. For example, just concentrate hand. Hand, hand, hand. All right, and then do whatever else you need to do after that.
Stand by. Right! Stand by. Forward!
Gun out quick, gun out quick.
Feed it, feed it, feed it. Great job, Willie. Rear!
Mag out, mag in. Good job, Garth.
All right, listen to the next range command. Don't assume what direction. Stand by. Forward! Right! Feed it, Scott. Good job, very nice. All right, holster up. Range is cold. All right, guys, now we're gonna start moving on to a little bit more dynamic movement. We know that generally, under stress, most people are generally trying to move from point A to point B and get to another position of advantage or cover. And you do that by just hauling ass there, in which case you have a decision to make. Can you employ your firearm safely and engage while moving from point A to point B? That's the first thing that you gotta look at. Second of all, if you launch those rounds out of your gun while moving that fast, the same speed that you would do if you were under stress, can you get your hits? Because for law enforcement and military, and even civilians running a defensive situation, whether it be you're at the mall or a convenience store and you're trying to get out, or in your home with your kids, there's always liabilities, okay? And you always have to account for those rounds. Remember, those rounds going through your drywall, where are they actually going? Those are things that you need to think about. So in some cases, you might find yourself being much safer by exploding to that position as fast as possible, get there, get your gun up, and get it running. Now, we know that there are times where you can possibly shoot and move. And there's that question ultimately, and that is, how fast can you shoot and move? Because a lot of times we see students taking like such a small step like this. Is that realistic if you have rounds going over your head? What are you probably going to do? You're probably going to move. The question is, can you employ your firearm if you move extremely fast? Obviously, that's where you want to excel yourself to, so that it is as close to reality as possible, because sometimes you're moving quick, and if a threat presents itself and I'm running by, wham, I'll take that shot if I can, if I'm confident that my rounds are going to be where they need to be. And that is a question that each individual is always going to be on a different level. We know that there are times where I might press the threat because I might actually engage you as I'm moving to a position of advantage and get behind cover because I'm actually out in the open. So that might be a case where you see somebody shooting and closing on something. Hopefully you're not just shooting and closing on something and there's nothing else around. You know, you could actually, take cover somewhere, or there might be a better position for you to find yourself into than just hanging out in the open. You might actually have to do that in a form of what most people would think is a retreat, but in reality it's moving to another position of advantage just to the rear. That's not me retreating. Let's look at body mechanics. I said that generally, most control of the weapon, Travis was talking about gun goes to the path of least resistance. He was talking about body mechanics on the first day. We look at the arms, the upper body. That is very, very important, especially on this drill. I told you that your legs won't always be in that perfect symmetrical position for fighting and shooting that we think about, right? This is a perfect world right now. As soon as something happens, that PUDA loop starts, I'm moving from point A to point B. So my lower body, in a sense, are those tank treads moving. My upper body does what it needs to do to take out more threats. Couple things. Make sure that as we do this drill, somewhere, if possible, you might actually have to come off the trigger for a second and do a quick search just of the area. You have to be conscious of a lot of other things going on. You can't just worry about yourself. You have to worry about the mother and her child over here, and you're in the middle of an engagement and you're shooting, and all she sees is an exit. What is she possibly going to do? Grab her daughter and take off. But what could she come into? Your line of fire. So your situational awareness needs to be bigger than just yourself, okay? And especially when we get into shooting and moving, because what is a tendency that happens based on some of the body mechanics and some of the combat mindset that Travis was talking about? What do we get focused on? Right on that target, because we're shooting and moving in that direction, and he is my main focus point at that point. But I may need to still come off and adjust accordingly. People are going to be screaming and squirting all over the place. It is going to be your job to mitigate around that. So we're going to work in some movement. Also, lower body. We are going to try to set ourselves up in a more beneficial position. I think the best analogy out there, you'll hear Travis use it a lot, is a cat. What does a cat do, or what have you seen a cat do when it sees something that it wants? Not a ball, but an actual like little animal or a lizard or something. What does it do?
It gets low to the ground.
It gets low to the ground. Why does it get low to the ground?
To get ready to move.
To get ready to pounce on that thing, right? So in a sense, what we're going to do is we're going to drop our lower body a little bit. The upper body is still forward, and I want you to think about it just like that cat. We're sneaking up on something. I'm sneaking up on something. I'm looking, and I'm going to sneak up to it, and then I'm going to get to it and engage it, whatever I need to do. Also, where do we try to keep the weight? On the balls of your feet or on the heels? On the balls, just like we would normally fight. So those are some fundamentals. Remember, everything is an aggressive drive forward. Everything is an aggressive drive forward. Travis?
Yeah, think about what we've been doing this morning. We started with some dynamic offline of attack. We got you moving really quickly, that flinch reaction. But think about more like the cat theory right here. We want you to start out moving slow. We want you to start like you're going to sneak off. When you hear the threat command, I want you to start off and isolate the legs. You're going to feel the thighs working a lot here. You want to pretend that you almost have a plate on your head. You see the cat's head moving at all? He's sneaking through the bush, right? Because right now I'm using a lot of isolation in my toes, my heels, my calves, my quads are really flexed. Okay, if I'm sneaking up on something, that's what's going to happen. So don't just walk, because what do we do when we walk?
Bounce.
Okay, if I was to pull a gun out right now, just walk, that, especially a handgun, is just going to bounce up and down. So you've got to isolate that by pretending you got a dish on your head. So as we start out shooting and moving here, we're going to start out slow, and we're going to get the mechanics down, and then we'll start making it more dynamic, because that is obviously consistent to reality. I mean, nobody's going to call a gun in a mall, and you're going to go, okay, it's going to be a little more dynamic than that. But right now, we're focused on weapons and manipulation, not tactics. We're trying to get the mechanics and the isolation down. It's also going to come into play here is your core, okay? Core muscles are going to really come into play. I like to drive practice with a laser. I'll put a laser on a light switch or something on the wall or a little pasty, and I'll try to keep it on there. And I'll find myself really, the more I tighten up in my abs as I'm doing it, the more that dot's going to stay on the wall. So that's a good drive practice and a little golden nugget right there. So think about that. Keep that front sight still, but that's going to take this and all of this and acting like that cat. All right, for this first drill, Chris and I are going to demo it real quick. Pretty simple. Chris is going to call out the execution commands. This is an execution command drill only. So we're going to sound off with moving, and then we'll say move, okay, and then we'll start moving. Then Chris is going to start calling the execution command of threat or whatever it may be, and that's the only time we will fire. We'll fire 4 rounds each time.
What you're going to see us do is a search and assess after we fire. You went through your house, there's one threat, there's possibly what? Additional. Or you need to find your kid who's running out of a room. So you need to be able to, whoa, get over here, grab your kid, protect him at that point, all right? So those are other things. Again, break off the tunnel vision.
Yeah, this is weapons manipulation only. The reason we're going to continuously shoot and move is for repetition. That's what we want, repetition and weapons manipulation.
All right, weapons will start out. Pressed, ready. Moving. Move. Threat. Threat. You guys will hold in this position. We'll do the same command. Moving. Move. Threat. 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 What were we doing in between right after we fired? Scanning. What else do you think I'm doing, especially moving backwards? You may not obviously see because I'm wearing sunglasses, so on and so forth. I just walked here. I'm trying to walk backwards. I kind of know this terrain. Hopefully you know the layout in your house. What's likely to happen when walking backwards? Slip, trip, fall, which is why we teach what? Supine, because if I get in an engagement at that point, I'm just going to shoot him from the ground. Okay? Get back up as fast as possible. But as I fire and I've neutralized that threat, I'm checking not only for situational awareness, but I can check over, boom, boom. Check back, I can actually look behind me, all right, and try to check that area and get as much information as I can. Any questions on that?
Now, guys, moving backwards, vice moving forwards, the mechanics. What do you find yourself doing more when you're moving backwards? Your feet, right? You find yourself more on the balls or the heels of the feet when you're moving backwards. What's this? The ball. So my toes are really never hitting the ground, okay? Where when I'm moving forward, what is actually hitting the ground first? So where do we want to tend to shoot when we're moving forward? You ever see people pause step when they're shooting? Okay. Well, that's typically because you want to be on the balls of feet because it's obviously a more stable platform. There's more contact with the ground. So with those mechanics right there, knowing that, what do you think it's easier to do? Shoot moving forward or shoot moving backwards?
Backwards.
Backwards, because you're on the balls of your feet more. So you're more like that cat, okay, all the time. You're always on. Now, if you could walk like this, it'd be awkward because the mechanics of the legs don't work that way. So think about that, but don't pause step out here. It's okay to shoot on the heels, but that's why we isolate all the muscles, okay? All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and do that drill, so let's go ahead and get everybody online right here on this line.
All right, shooters, gas them up.
Whatever you do not stop moving. If you have a malfunction, you have to speed reload, what do? Keep moving. Fix it on the move. Even if you don't even get one shot off, you will still move this distance without stopping.
Shooters, call it.
Moving.
Move! Gun! Gun! Press ready when you're done. I will tell you guys this. When you got to the line, that's when you did your search and assess. What about in between? You shot this guy, there might be more people either in your house or squirting around a mall or a convenience store. It's your ass. Come on, guys. I told you you'd get tunnel vision. We demoed it, we talked about it, and you got tunnel vision. Focus. Call it.
Moving.
Move! Gun! Gun! Threat! Hold the line, hold the line. Okay, so we just finished that last drill. Now what we're looking at is continuous movement to the threat. So for whatever reason, we actually have to press on and do our engagement and move all the way to the threat, continuous fire. Obviously, it's a shoot situation, we're good. We're just, again, rehearsing that movement, getting used to shooting and moving, trying to find our happy place, so to speak. We'll still give the same commands, but once we say gun, that is it. You'll fire all the way to the target, hold position. Then you guys will call moving rear. You'll start your movement. I'll say threat or gun. Continuous movement all the way to the line.
I almost found myself completely tensing and up and not even breathing really at all because I'm working my abs so hard just to keep that front sight on the target. All right, so Chris and I are going to now demonstrate continuous shooting while moving.
Moving! Move! Moving! Move!
so that's the continuous shooting and while moving drill. Are there any questions, guys? All right, let's do it. Let's come on up here on the line.
All right, continuous movement, constant rate of fire on the threat. Shooters, call it.
Move in! Move! Shot!
You guys are staying out about like this. Bring that gun back in, especially if you're moving. Somebody comes out around a corner and thinks it's going to be a target to grab.
Moving to the rear.
Concentrate on that front sight, isolating your body mechanics right now.
Move, gun. Get some water, guys, great job.
Okay guys, we've done movement with execution commands. We've done continuous shooting while moving, and now we're just going to continue to shoot and move, but what we're going to do is a continuous reflexive fire movement. So we're going to come up here online, we're going to demo real quick to show you what we're talking about, but basically this is a reflexive fire. We're reacting on something, somebody else's actions, somebody yelling something, somebody just moving and starting to shoot. So it's kind of just reflexive. It's responding to somebody else's action, and you do not shoot until it's your turn to shoot, okay? Now we have some dead space built in here, so basically what's going to happen is one person's going to initiate on one of the ends, and it's going to be like a wave in a stadium. Okay, that guy's going to turn and start shooting, then that guy, then that girl, then that guy, whatever. And then, but you can't, this guy down here at the end, he'll probably still be up here when that person's maybe halfway down or maybe even finished. Okay, so you have your lane, you have your dead space, you have your target. And it'll be a consistent, constant rate of fire all the way down, as fast as you can shoot at your skill level and make all your hits in the green zone.
Let's have a couple volunteers.
You guys go ahead and line up right here, just next to us on line. All right, so what's going to happen for this first one, we're going to go facing this direction, okay? We'll gas up here in a second. We're going to face this direction, and then Costa's going to initiate it, then I'll go, then he's going to go, then he's going to go. That's it. You don't need to speed up and catch up with the guy next to you. We're not saying you have to do that unless you feel the dead space isn't adequate. Then you can catch up a little bit and then continue to fire. And you'll see what we mean here in a second. Okay, you guys understand the drill?
Check this one.
All right, Chris, it's on you. Okay. I'm going to turn face this direction now. Matt, it's on you, whenever you're ready. All right, now, what's going to happen is we're going to have you guys face up range, so at any time somebody could just automatically turn and start moving. Like,
The whole thing is wait until the guy next to you turns. Okay, initiates movement.
Yep, got it. All right, let's go ahead and line it up.
New positions.
And let's run the reflexive fire drill.
All right, holster up.
Once you've holstered, move it back. I know I'm going this way and I can turn that way. I'm not going to bring the gun all the way around, because then you had to work the Sewell all the way around and it got a little loose there for a second, and then you're coming up on the target when you can just bring the gun up and out. Okay? It's going right back in the holster. Got it?
Mm-hmm. All right, let me add a couple things. One of the reasons why we like doing that drill is it's kind of what I call the common sense factor. And that is, you know, in law enforcement, we would call that a clue. If our partner, all of a sudden, I look over, he spins, pulls his gun out, and starts firing. Now, I still need to turn an ID to figure out what exactly it is he's shooting at, but I can tell you that my hand's probably going where? Yeah, I'm not just gonna stand there and go, man, what's Travis doing? Okay, I'm going to react, and that's why we do this reflexive movement. Same thing, military-wise. All of a sudden, he turns, boom, starts doing an engagement. Whoa, find ID, start doing what you need to do, working that POODA-LOO process. But I can guarantee you, I am going to make some form of movement based on what my partner just did.
All right, guys, here we are at the final scenario phase of the training. What we've got for you is a scenario built for each individual group of people out here, which depends what your lifestyle is, like you military guys or law enforcement. We've got some concealed carry stuff. We've even got a father-daughter scenario. So we're going to put you in those scenarios and see how you react in weapons manipulation. There's not a lot of, there'll be some tactical feel to this, some look, there'll be a lot more movement, a lot more dynamics, but it's weapons manipulation is what we're concentrating on. Employing that handgun inside of each one of those scenarios that fits your lifestyle.
This is where everything starts to come together. We take what we learned out on a range and we start throwing it into this format. Remember, that format is what do you do when things go wrong and how do you behave when you're running at 200 miles an hour. And you're going to come apart a little. It's going to be your job to get yourself back under control and get focused at that point, okay? So you're going to actually work yourselves through these scenarios. The great thing is, you know, to the viewers at home, what they don't realize is you guys are hitting these scenarios cold. You don't get a chance to look at them. We give you a quick brief, and that is it, down and dirty. Here it is in your face right now. And that's truly how it's going to happen in real life. You're going to just put the keys in your hand, walk out to your car, and there's life right there. So that's what we're going to be doing over this next portion. Running you guys through more scenarios, concentrating on your ability to manipulate your weapons under a little bit more stress.
Okay, Garth, Stewie, step on out, guys. We got a scenario that's obviously a law enforcement capacity for you guys, a type-based scenario. What we want you guys to do is to be able to determine what kind of stressors you're going to encounter yourself in. And maybe you have to use some type of show of force, maybe you don't, we don't know. We'll set you guys up for that. But you guys will encounter different levels of stress because of how it ramps up, and you're going to see that in the scenario. So if you guys are ready, let's get it on.
All right, let's go, guys.
You gonna finish that donut anytime today?
I gotta take my time. It's the 7th one.
Man, you give us cops a bad name.
You give us cops a bad face. Just one speeder would be nice, you know? One person to make my day over here.
No,
save me from eating
hey,
this.
Look at this car, man. He's moving out.
Not too bad. That's pretty good.
Let's go. Let's go.
Cover! Check! Call 6. Shots fired 300 block East Main. 2 suspects down. Officers are 10-4. Roll EMS.
All right, guys, you just went into a high-speed chase, into a foot pursuit, guy with a gun. Pretty realistic and practical scenario, wouldn't you say? Let's talk about weapons manipulation. You guys got out of the vehicle, you were a little amped up. You guys worked really good weapons manipulation. Your heads were pretty much on a swivel for the most part. Remember, there's always things from other places. Where's this guy pulling into? How far did he take you on your pursuit? As you guys moved up, Stewie, you punched out and you stayed there for a little bit as you were coming up, and then you broke your back and you caught yourself because you realized that if a shot's going to come, I'm going to drive out and it's going to be faster than if I have to track. I could see your mind thinking there, so that was really good. And then the rest of the way up, manipulation, you stopped, you took cover when you needed to. You were physically and mentally checking your muzzle and making sure that you were clear of the front of the truck, which was really good because you kind of stopped and you came out a little bit more because you were unsure, and that's okay because the last thing you want is deflection or stuff coming back in your face and putting you out of the fight.
That's why we do search and assess on the gun range, because this dynamic situation is watching your partner, it's watching for other people, and that's where that reality comes into play. The comms between you two, you guys did attack reload behind cover, so as far as the weapon manipulation portion and the communication portion, I thought you did a great job. All right, let's go check our targets, check our hits.
All right, Garth, check it out, man. This is your target. Combat effectiveness. Now, don't get frustrated by this shot right here. I can see you are frustrated, but you know what? That's dynamic critical stress. This is a 360-degree, constantly dynamic moving environment, and sometimes that's going to happen. This thing popped up on you. You got some good effective hits here. This is what we want to see. You know from our BSA template that this is what we like to see, but that's because it's on the line, we're on the training. But if you're getting inside of this box, you're doing well. These are all putting a seriously positive effect on the target, and that's great. Your headshot, you know what that was from, right?
Oh yeah.
What?
It was my last shot as he was falling down.
That's right. So your intended point aim was here, hit him in the head, and then you ceased fire when you saw him go down. So that is acceptable, man. That is good. That is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Do we want to see this? Yeah, of course we do. But dude, when you are amped under stress and you got the body alarm response, and there's a lot of things happening here, you're working around an object that you got a kind of a weird sight picture, your body's stressed, you're sweating, that's gonna happen. But I think this is good.
All right, Strury, you ran up, dropped Irvin prone. Outstanding shots. Your cadence of fire was really good here. People might think you need to fire faster. I thought you fired at a really good rate. You got a really excellent group right here. Not only that, but it is dead center of that leg. What would have happened to this guy if you had shot him in this region? What do you think probably would have happened?
Drop.
He would have dropped, which meant now he's on your level, which meant you probably would have ended up pumping a few more into him. One of the cool aspects of what you did in your situational awareness was that we threw this at you, and Garth already had his target, and then we put a mover on the fly, and you ID'd that mover and took that mover underneath the truck after already fixating on one other person that you already were responsible for. So the fact that you processed that information, got a good group here, neutralized this threat, and then ID'd a mover on the fly. Coming over here, that's actually pretty impressive. Trying to hit a mover on the move, first of all, from a normal firing position is extremely difficult if you've ever done it. Second of all, doing it underneath the car after you guys have already, again, done that pursuit, bailed out, you already did one engagement, then notice this thing, because this thing hides back here, and then it comes out. So to process all that information that quickly and still get really good combat effective hits, I think it's actually outstanding.
So now it's up for you guys to go back and decide, hey, are we doing what we need to do? Are we making the right decisions under stress? Are we slowing our guys down and thinking when we need to be thinking and moving when we need to be moving? So hopefully you got something out of this and you can bring it back and just continue to excel the entire community. So good job, guys. All right, guys. Strury and Garth are done. Marines, come on out. It's your turn. All right, guys. We got a kind of a dynamic precision weapon system. You guys are snipers, so we're going to put you into a sniper capacity, and you're going to have to problem solve in combat environment, and it's going to be good. All right, you guys ready?
Get
Ready?
so.
All right, we'll set you up. Let's go.
RPG team, 12 o'clock, 500 meters, moving left to right. Hold 3.8.
Holding 3.8.
Fire. Hit. Moving right. Second man, moving right. Hold half mil.
Holding half mil.
Fire. Okay, we got another guy. We got another guy going behind the wall. Hold half mil.
On the wall. Holding half mil.
Fire. We got a vehicle.
Hey, he's getting up.
Holy shit, dude, we got off. Let's go. Back up. Dude, that's down. Fucking swing it. Let's go. I got the truck. Move to the truck.
cock, safe, and holster. All right, guys, let's go ahead and head over here, and we'll check out our targets and debrief this. All right, guys, that was a pretty dynamic scenario for you two, considering especially that this is your first day ever working together, and just working together weapons manipulation only in this 3-day class of the handgun. Here you are throwing full kit on, helmets, we're throwing you right into a daily typical sniper life, and you know, Captain Carter, you're not even in that sniper world. So for you guys to be able to come together and gel that good was pretty fun to watch. So obviously we don't expect you to know sniper dialect and stuff like that, even though you're familiar with it, you like to shoot precision guns, so that was good work up there. But that's not our scenario. Our scenario is weapons manipulation with a handgun, so we just want to show you know, the viewer at home how that can incorporate into a scenario like this, like you just found yourselves in. Now, yes, you've got your M4s on your back, but we want to see handgun manipulation here. We want to see worst case scenario. We know what you're going to be able to do in this scenario with 2 carbines up. Let's see what happens when those 2 carbines go down. Or you don't have one. Maybe you guys' mission specific says bolt gun only because it's a one-shot deal. You know, the mindset on that, I'd probably still want to strap a carbine on, but hey, you know, sometimes maybe you don't, okay? There's some teams out there that don't operate with carbines. Maybe a SWAT police sniper gets into an active shooter and he's got to bail off a roof or something. I don't know. But again, you guys working now all the way down and out, down the stairs was really good work, James. We surprised you with that target there. You got the sass back up and it ran dry because you were working some rounds up top of that car. You transitioned to your handgun. That was a real good, clean transition, especially with that big sass on your back and or on your front. And then you engaged 3 rounds, I believe, from inside. They were good hits. You guys then continued. You held. You made a decision not to shoot where you didn't seem clear of the stairway. That's fine. Carter took care of it all. You guys moved out, got in a position. You worked well together. You made a decision to sling your sass because you said it was screw it. Hey, let's just get to the vehicle. That was the decision you guys made at that time. So. That's the decision. Weapon was slung. You maintained control of the handgun as you did that, and you guys made a facilitated movement outside and then had another barrage of targets, which we obviously told you guys something may pop up. So, but you didn't know what, and that's what happened here. So, looking at our targets, okay, inside you guys did really well. Out here, as you can see from these targets here, every single one of your rounds is an effective hit, is having some kind of effect on the target, right? You're not missing. And for you, Keith, running single hand manipulation, carrying a bolt gun in the other hand, I think that's a pretty damn good job, considering you got a bunch of kit on and you guys were running up and down stairs and doing the full Monty, so that was a pretty good deal.
Hey guys, everything up top fine. Again, focusing more on the handgun. That's what the viewers really need to think about and consider here. Total worst case scenario. That is a bad day if you were left with nothing but your secondary weapon system. We've been in bad situations before, so that's why we throw you into bad situations, you know, to a certain degree. You know, some of the scenarios might be our scenarios. But I thought your weapons employment was really good. Couple things. You guys just started working together, obviously. Not only that, but things don't go down picture perfect, okay? A lot of things will go wrong and they go wrong fast. The difference is you have to commit one way or the other. Failure to commit is the biggest problem, okay? And you guys committed. Now, it may not have looked picture perfect. Even if you were a special operations team that had been training for, you know, months on end, going through huge shooting packages, it might have looked just like that, because things don't always go the way you want them to. You got multiple targets, a lot of things presenting themselves, no time and opportunity in which to do a tactical reload, go in a slide lock, having to actually take a knee now because you're having to move so hasty with that bolt gun because you're getting compromised, bullets are whizzing through the second store. I'm not sitting there screwing around with my freaking bolt gun. I'm gonna grab it just like you did. I'm gonna grab my handgun and I'm gonna go. So if we can, if people understand that sense of urgency, that sense of necessity of having to get out of that building extremely quickly and then perform the way we did, like for you, one-handed, for you, having to support, moving around one another, I thought it was actually an outstanding job. I've looked at all the targets and they all look like that, and no shit, I think there's either 1 or 2 what somebody would consider an off-paper miss. This guy was moving. The others were popping up and coming back down, and a lot of the work that you did on this side was one-handed. So I thought it was a great job, a great job.
Thanks, good drill.
All right, guys, just got done with the Marines. Now it's your turn. Dad, Willie. All right, On this scenario, basically the information is you guys are father and daughter. You guys are going to go out just like you would on a normal day, and we're going to throw a scenario at you, and you guys are going to have some decisions that you guys need to make and solve together. You guys ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right, I hope it goes better than that last one. Let's go.
I think we got a flat tire, baby.
Okay. Dad, we really don't want to be here. It's a bad part of town.
I'll make this as quick as I can.
Dad!
Take cover. Get out of here. Let's get out of here.
All right, Dad, you just ended that scenario. Obviously something a little unique. Let me ask you, is that your first time shooting through glass?
Absolutely.
What was that feeling for you?
It was distracting, and I tried to focus as best I could, and every shot after that, it still had more glass coming down, which was surprising.
So in the middle of you firing and obviously you screaming, did that have any effect as well in regard to your heart rate, getting it pumped up?
Absolutely, there's no doubt. Once you start, it gets pumped.
All right, Dad, I know we didn't cover it in class, but can you explain to me why you went out the other side of the car?
The threat was on this side, and I wanted to get away from the threat, so I went through the car. That way I had some cover when I get on the other side to reload.
That's good. A lot of people don't know that. You never get out on the contact side if you can help it. So,
outstanding job. We'll go down and we'll take a look at your targets here in a second.
yeah, great job.
Thank you.
All right, Dad, we're here at the target. First of all, you're running a 2.5-inch 357 Magnum shooting through glass. A couple important notes for people to understand is that glass can cause deflections when those rounds start going through them. Basically, anything in between the bad guy and your muzzle and that round leaving that muzzle is called a medium. And when things hit mediums, unexpected things happen. And this is a classic case of it. You've got a couple shots right here, good combat effective hits. You've got one here, obviously, you know, under stress, shooting in a car, shooting through glass. Glass, like you said earlier, is a little distracting. You got rounds going off and you got stuff falling in between your sight picture, so you're trying to concentrate on a lot. But we obviously, that's a 7-shot revolver. We have 3 that are just missing. So that's called a medium, and that's why it's more important for you to understand how to drive your gun from location to location than thinking that there's a magic bullet out there. So really good shooting for shooting through glass with a 2.5-inch 357, and that's about a 20-yard shot through glass. So really good. Let's move on to your next target. Now this target was presented to you after you did a reload because that one had already gotten knocked down. So you've got a shot high towards the face, one good center mass hit, and this one probably just pulling that shot. So a little low, but still is going to have an impact on the threat. So let's go check your last one. All right, couple first low shot here, shoulder shot, and then 2 center mass hits. So nice job, nice shooting.
Better.
I don't know if I told you that in a long time, but
Love you.
you're my hero, buddy.
Yeah, mine too.
All right, Willie, you're next.
You ready to go? We got a specific scenario just for you.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's go brief it.
Let's go.
Threat!
All right, holster up, Willie. Slide forward. All right, let's go take a look at your hits real quick. All right, good center mass hits here. Shot him, neutralized him. Then what happened?
Then she popped up.
Okay, next threat popped up over here,
He popped up.
or he popped up. Again, really good hits right here. Let's move over.
When the target started moving, she went through here, so I tracked her on this side and waited for her to come up.
Okay, what do you see about the target right now?
That she's pregnant?
And?
And she's saying stop.
Okay.
So proper identification.
Yes.
Really important. This can really happen. Remember on day one, I said that there's a really good chance we mud sucked you here.
You did.
And I actually, I'll be honest, I actually thought based on the way you process information, I thought there was probably 80% chance that you weren't actually going to shoot her. I think when it went by and you missed it for a second, you know, out of habit, we came over, you set up, and you were just, your brain went into that shoot mode again. And then you got good hits on her. But obviously it's a no shoot because remember in real life, things happen very, very fast. Come on over here, Willie, with the car. Yep, we're always remembered you got the target's foreground and background. So muzzle's clear, sights clear, press. So luckily these shots still hit, but those shots, if that was a woman with a gun, might have dramatically affected your ability to neutralize her. So you could be very, very careful. Now, if you catch this out of peripheral vision, if you're able to, then what would you do? Or move position.
This is a tunnel vision factor is all it is.
This is a flat range. And the important thing for people to understand is that this is where learning occurs before you go out on the street. And this is the responsibility that somebody bears when they carry a gun on them. You know, it's not all fun and games, and the fact of the matter is you're out here, you're taking training, you're taking it seriously, but I guarantee you won't make that mistake again because you already made it. You got good hits, but you were standing up. I would have dropped immediately and gone as low as possible, okay? We know that rounds can skip off things, so we want to try to stay back as much as possible, but I would have definitely lowered my profile, all right?
You get to a point, like all of our scenarios so far have been pretty positive. They've all been neutralize a threat. And none of these guys have really had to process that yet. And so we use you to do that. So we appreciate you being a good sport and showing the reality side of those core principles that we talk about.
Scott, Matt, you guys ready? All right, come on out. All right, in this scene, you guys are just friends. You guys are going out, paired up, and we're gonna throw you into a scenario and we'll see how you guys do under a little bit of stress. You guys ready to go?
Excellent.
Right. All right.
Man, that was a long trade show. Can't wait to...
All right, I gotta get these boots off, man.
Is this the hotel we're staying in?
I guess so.
See if I'm all right on that side.
Yeah, you're good, man. Come on in.
I'm gonna hop out here.
Hey, I'm gonna go get checked in.
All right, man.
While you grab the gear, okay?
I'll bring these around.
Scott! He's got a gun! Drop it!
Loaded! Okay. You okay?
Holy crap, man, what happened?
Are you okay?
What just happened?
I
You
don't know.
hit? You hit?
I'm good. Call 911.
I got it.
Call 911.
How can I help you?
Yeah, hi, me and my partner were just attacked by these guys with guns at the hotel out by the airport. You need to get some officers out here right away.
And what's your location?
We're at the Super 8 out on the airport road.
Are you okay? Do you need medical attention?
Yeah, I think I'm okay. Matt, are you okay? You hit?
I think
No,
I'm all
we're
right.
good. We just
I think I'm all right.
we got attacked by these guys, and we need to get some officers out here right now.
Okay, are you both armed?
Yes, we are.
Okay, make sure that when the officers are rolling up, you holster your weapons, okay?
Okay, they want us to holster our weapons up when the officers roll up,
All
okay?
right,
So
let's-
be
let's-
watching.
Let's holster and get inside.
Are we clear?
And scenario, guys. Safe and holster. Safe and holster. All right, good job, guys.
All right, let's discuss this a little bit. What were you guys primarily doing here?
What were you guys coming to this hotel for?
I mean, you know, this could be a typical work trip for either one of us.
And at the end of the day, you grab your gear, you get checked in, you secure your product, and, get cleaned up, go get some chow.
Yeah, you guys are in the industry just like we are, and sometimes you guys go to a lot of shows. I know how it is. We carry a lot of weapons with us sometimes and sensitive equipment, military, law enforcement stuff, and sometimes people may have eyes on you. So it's always good to be prepared and never get complacent. And it can happen at any time. Let's go over and check out your hits, okay?
Okay, guys, some really good hits on these targets. Very nice center mass hits.
This is that shorty compact at 25 yards.
Yep. Nice job.
Good
Let's
job
check
on
out
that.
your other
Very
ones.
effective. Let's go over here. Same thing here, guys. Looking really good. Got one little fly out here. Obviously not your intended point of aim, so be careful with that, because if his arm wouldn't have been up, where's that round going, okay? Let's check this one out. All right, really good hits on this one. Obviously, we got a flyer, okay? So think about that. That's your failure point right there. Where's that going? You know, is it going into somebody's house across the street? You know, so kind of police yourselves with that round and realize what you did there. But overall, man, that was a phenomenal job. Really good communication.
Probably the one on the arms, probably just transitioning and driving that gun from one threat to another threat. You know, it's very, very common, and then trying to get your rounds off. I mean, obviously there's a sense of urgency. There's 3 guys, and I know, obviously, like Travis said, you guys are in the industry. You know, somebody who's really watching you, knowing that you guys have guns on you, there's not going to be probably just one guy. It's probably going to be a few. So this is actually probably a very, very realistic scenario for you guys to face.
When we briefed you guys, we told you guys to finish whatever the scenario may be and then call 911. And your dialogue between Chris as the dispatcher and yourself was really clear, really communicative, and you told him the location right away where you were, and that was pretty good. So I think it's really important for people in the industry and the shooting communities out there as a viewer to understand how important communication is in a situation like that when you're amped up and you're running at that 200 miles per hour like Chris was talking about. That was also good, Matt, what you did. You didn't yell gun or threat or contact or up or one of the typical commands that you normally hear in a live fire course. I'm glad you did that, and that wasn't planned. That was, you yelled, "Scott, Scott!" Okay, now I know if I was with Chris or somebody else, anybody else out there, and they started yelling, "Travis, Travis," something's obviously wrong, and it's going to gain my attention immediately. Where if it was yelling out gun or contact, it's, you know, even though it's something we hear all the time, we need to be able to communicate with each other so it gains your immediate attention. And I think that did. I think you were just like, whoa, what's going on? Because you didn't know what the scenario was going to be.
Right.
So
another good point is you actually stepped up to where Matt was. Had you stayed back and engaged, might have been in appearance a more beneficial spot, staying in between those 2 cars. But how do you know and how can you guarantee that Matt isn't going to run that way? If you're occupying that spot, then Matt knows he can't go there. Or if he goes there, he's going to blow behind you. And you actually ran up, just like we've done in the drills. There wasn't a person there, but you ran up to a position of advantage. And you know what? You carry a gun, and yes, you might get shot, but it's much better for you, trust me, to take that round for your buddy than to put 2 into him yourself.
Especially since you knew that he was going to check in. The last known position that you had on Scott was going that way. So if you would have continued to fire that way, my typical response is to go under stress. I mean, or anybody's response is to go to help, go to what you know, go to what you're comfortable with, which would be your buddy you're with is Scott. And so you would run that way. And next thing you know, he runs right in your line of fire. So that was really good, Scott. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up Dynamic Handgun. We've had a long, hard 3 days of training. You guys have really worked hard on the fundamentals, the core principles that we've broken down. Our core principles of macro dynamics being reality, consistency, and efficiency. And I think you guys have come a long way in climbing that ladder of excellence just in a very short time. What we'd like to do is find out what your experiences were climbing that ladder of excellence.
I have gained a lot more confidence, and I found my limitations, and I found that I can excel a little bit more.
Keith, what do you got, bud?
I'll tell you, just in the short time working with you guys, I think it's taken me further than the last decade probably combined. Fortunately, with the billet that I'm in the job which I have, I'll be able to take some of the stuff I've picked up and start to filter it down to the rest of the community.
Willie, what about you?
Honestly, I think I've learned more and grown more than I even realized at this point, from things so small as where to put my finger on the trigger to how to move dynamically to how to react properly and efficiently in any given situation. It's been amazing. I feel much more prepared and much more comfortable in my abilities, and thank you guys.
Definitely, Willie, as a good example, you know, starting out as raw as you were, from a level of never shooting to where you are, it was extremely impressive.
All right, James, what's your experience?
I identified some huge training scars, and every chance I get to look back at prior training and try and erase those training scars with techniques that are proven and effective 95% of the time.
For me, it accomplished exactly what you guys say it will, and that's off the mindset thing. I'm certainly walking away with new skills, and that skill level has built up, like you're talking about the physical. That's going to happen, but I think the most important thing that I'm coming away with is information, and that has to do with the mindset, like you're talking about.
Garth, what'd you get out of this class?
One of the things that I took away is definitely that we, you know, in the law enforcement profession, we hear a lot about police work is a lot, hours and hours of boredom highlighted by moments of sheer terror. He's got a gun! Knowing that complacency is part of our everyday routine. You know, we make thousands and thousands of contacts and nothing bad happens. And then one time, bam, it blows up in your face. It doesn't matter how proficient we was yesterday. It's right now, right at the moment. But more importantly, where our mind's at.
All right,
Scott.
You taught us to take just that split second to observe what's going on and then take the appropriate action, not just to automatically take some action every time. It wasn't rote memorization. Okay, these are 5 skills, now we're going to go apply them. You had us looking at what was going on, whether it was clearing a weapon malfunction or engaging a multiple target array or doing the scenarios today. You had us sharpening the axe and working on the fundamentals, but then you also stressed that we think.
Matt, what about you?
Coming here, it gives you, and again, not to be redundant, but it starts you off with the building blocks to progress, because most of us, we've never been in a situation that's pushing us to our limits and seeing, you know, where those wheels start to fall off. I can't wait to get back to some more courses to push myself even further.
The important thing, and the thing that I love about these classes, the thing that I love about students that are willing to push themselves, that we love about that, is it starts to separate the dynamic of everybody else out there. The willingness to come out here and have knowledge, skills, and desire, and allow yourself to be pushed to a point of failure. Because what happens is that failure turns into a success. And then you find your next failure point and you turn that into the next success. Those are the little things that it takes. It takes that knowledge, that skill, and that desire to have the right stuff. That's why you guys have the right stuff. It's also my privilege to have my dad in the class. It was great having you out here, Dad. Thank you guys for putting up with us.
Personally, I appreciate you guys coming out and being professionals.
All right, for the past few days, you guys ended up doing all the shooting, and Travis and I didn't really get to do much, so.
Let's go break something.
Let's go.
Contact friends!